All right, now let's take a look at supply functions. And a supply function simply displays the relationship between price and quantity supplied. So here we see two supply functions. And you see when it comes to a supply function, we have the quantity supplied as the dependent variable. So a supply function reports the quantity supplied as a function of the price. But you see, when we draw it, we put the price on the y-axis, and it is a little bit counterintuitive to the writing of a supply function. So what we also have is, and that is typically, or that is something that we often report, that is what we call the inverse supply function, just as we had an inverse demand function. So the inverse supply function and an inverse supply function writes the supply function when we put P to the left side of the equal sign, and then we report everything as a function of Q. Okay. So the inverse supply function reports or writes the supply function beginning with the price. Okay, so because if you see a graph like this and you're supposed to draw it into a graph where we have price on the y-axis, it's a little bit complicated, so it's easier to rearrange the term such that we have the price to the left side of the equal sign. And if you take a look at this one, we just add on both sides 2, and then we get 2 plus Q. Here we have first 2P equals 8 plus Q, and then in the second step we divide both sides by 2, and then we get P equals 4 plus 0.5 Q. So here we have the supply function, and what I just wrote is the inverse supply function, and here for the first one, the supply function Q equals -2 plus P. That is actually becoming 2 plus Q, so that's this function here. The other one becomes the other supply function Q equals -8 plus 2P. That becomes P equals 4 plus 0.5 Q. And so now we can see both. So the point here is to remember that there are two terms. There's the supply function or the demand function, and whenever you just hear supply or demand function, what that means is you see the Q, the quantity demanded or quantity supplied, to the left side of the equal sign, and the price to the right. But when you hear the term inverse demand or inverse supply, you will see the price at the beginning. And the point or the reason why we do that is because it becomes more easy in terms of converting an equation into a graph. Okay, let's stop here, and then let's continue in the next video with determinants of supply, which are shifters.